Hey, and welcome back to another video. So this is the Nokia 5250 from 2010, a budget-focused smartphone which was extremely popular in Europe and Asia for its impressive specifications at a very low price of around 115 euros. It runs Symbian OS and is a compact device with a very impressive battery life, and since it ran Symbian, it enjoyed most of all the apps that came in the Symbian OVI store. And today in this video, we'll be taking a look at the Nokia 5250 and seeing how it holds up here in 2022 in this retro style review. This is using the Nokia 5250 in 2022. So as usual, before jumping right in, don't forget to smash that like button down below as it helps this video get on YouTube's algorithm, and also don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and ring that bell notification button so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Also don't forget to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about the Nokia 5250. Did you own one at some point? Do you have one in your collection, or anything else you'd like to let me know about the Nokia 5250? Also, if you have any questions, don't forget to ask them down below so we can start a discussion in the comment section, or I can answer your questions. Also, my social media is linked down in the description below, which includes Instagram, Discord, and Twitter. And now let's jump right into this video. So as for a bit of history, initially let's start off with some history here. This thing was announced in August of 2010 and released in September of 2010, and like I said before, it shipped with a 115 euro price tag, and it translated to an identical price elsewhere in the world as well, with taxes and stuff. And it was available in multiple colors on the back case here. This one is the blue variant, but it also came in dark gray, red, purple, and white as well. So it was a very colorful phone, just like a lot of other budget phones as well. They do try to add features in terms of like swappable bodies, that covers that you can easily swap out and stuff like that. But this thing does not have a swappable body. However, it did come with multiple color options to select from. It also has a stylus, and this one is missing its stylus, as you can see, but this phone did ship with a stylus when it was released. So it was very popular in Asia and Europe because of that cheap price tag, and of course since it runs Symbian. And they did cut down elsewhere on this phone, like in the camera and some other places as well, to give you Symbian at this low price. However, this phone still did really impress a lot of people at the time due to it having Symbian and being able to make use of all the apps on the App Store with Symbian, with the Symbian OS running. And for that price range, then again, no one was really complaining that it did have a lack of a front camera and a slightly toned down, well, considerably toned down camera without a flash, and it was just a simple 2 megapixel camera. So we'll talk about the camera in a bit, but everything else on this phone was that impressive, especially in terms of software. So people really didn't care that they cut down elsewhere in other places as well. This thing is also very compact, as you can see, and that also helped it sell really well for people who wanted more compact phones. It's somewhat thick as well, as you can see there. That's because it has quite a large battery. We'll talk about the battery in a bit as well. And the exact sales figures for this thing I could not find online, but if eventually I do find the exact sale figures, I'll put them up here. But it did sell quite well, like I said, in Asia and Europe because of its low price and form factor and features pertaining to the software. So that was just a quick history portion on the Nokia 5250. So now let's go ahead and talk about design and build quality. So taking a look at this thing, as you can see, it is quite minimalist. It doesn't have too many striking features on it. Then after all, it was a budget phone, so you couldn't expect it to look like a flashy flagship or anything like that. Regardless, it does feel and look really nice. So let's have a quick go around of all the physical aspects of the device. Now up here, as you can see, it has the ear speaker and Nokia logo. There's an XpressMusic sort of quick media button there, somewhat like the XpressMusic lineup. We have the display there. We'll talk about that in a bit. Quite thick bezels, as you can see there as well, because the display is relatively small compared to the rest of the body of the phone. we have the buttons over here, and we have a cutout for a microphone over there as well. And now moving on to the side of the phone, as you can see, we have a lanyard strap hole here to put your lanyard there through the battery bay, so you can hang it on your hand or on your neck. Over here we have a place to put your finger and pull out the battery bay door. Moving to the bottom of the phone, as you can see, we have a place to put your stylus, but this phone is missing its stylus, as you can see there. Moving on to this side, we have the camera shutter button, so that's a one press only. You do not have autofocus. This is a fixed focus camera, so it's single press just to take a photo. We have a lock button to unlock and lock the screen, the slider lock button. It feels really nice as well, and the volume rockers as well. All the buttons on this phone, by the way, feel really nice. Moving on to the top of the phone, we have the micro USB port here. As you can see, mine is missing the flap over there, but that's normal for phones like these. The flaps used to break. We have a slimmer barrel charger over here, as you can see, to put the slimmer barrel charger. And we have the 3.5mm headphone jack there as well. Moving on to the back of the phone, we have the two speaker grills over here facing backwards there. Really sleek look for the speakers there. Nokia branding, and we have a simple 2-megapixel camera there as well. So in terms of feel, this thing actually is very well built. The plastic feels really solid. This thing carries a lot of bulk to it. It's a compact phone, so I guess everything was just cramped together, but that gives it this really good feeling of what I'd say confidence when you hold this thing. It actually feels really solid, and it can take a drop or two. This is definitely one of those tougher Nokias. This thing can easily take a drop or two. It's built really well. Let me bring it closer so you can hear the plastic. Yeah, this thing is built really well and feels nice in the hand. You feel confident holding it. It doesn't feel like it's gonna slip out or anything like that. So overall, a very well built phone, and for this price range, that is also quite surprising. They did a really good job with the build quality. And the stylus part, I think the stylus just fell off sometime at some point. I cannot really confirm on how well the stylus slots into the body there, because mine's missing the stylus, but I guess it probably did hold really well, and maybe just the previous owner is the one who just lost the stylus. So sometimes some phones had the problem of the stylus just falling off, but I cannot confirm it for this because mine's missing the stylus. Overall, regardless, a very well built phone. Another impressive thing about this phone is its display. Now, at the €115 price range, you'd expect the display to not be that great. However, that's not the case with this thing's display. It actually has a very impressive display. Now, you'd think that, okay, at €115 price range, it's probably TFT with 256,000 colors. It is TFT. However, it is not 256,000 colors. They did manage to give you the full 16 million colors with this phone at this price range. So that is also really impressive that they gave the full 16 million color complement. It is a 2.8-inch display, so it is 2.8 inches like that diagonally, with a resolution of 360 by 640 pixels, so 360 by 640 pixels, which gives it a pixel density of about 262 pixels per inch, and an aspect ratio of 16 by 9 like that. And as you can see, the display is quite compact when compared to the rest of the phone, which is also compact. It's there's a huge set of bezels on both sides and at the top and the bottom as well, but again, it's a budget phone. They made the display small, but they gave you a good display, so that's a good trade-off in my opinion. It's very bright. It's not overly bright. I wouldn't say it'll survive in a extremely summer bright conditions. There were times that I couldn't actually see the display, but that was in extreme bright conditions. But on a general bright day, this display does perfectly fine with a upper medium brightness. The colors are accurate, they're sharp, and they pop in a certain really nice way that I really don't think you can actually see on camera here. The colors really do pop, so there's some back processing going on with the display to make the images look nicer, most definitely. And overall, a very pleasant display to use. It's bright, it's sharp, the colors are accurate, and a big thumbs up from me for a display at such a low price, still managing to output really good images. Now, in terms of internal specifications, this thing actually packs a pretty decent processor that a lot of other phones at the time used as well, even some higher end phones. It is a 434 megahertz ARM11 based processor, and looking at said other phones in the Nokia lineup from 2010 and 2009, I can say with some certainty it is a Texas Instruments based or Texas Instruments manufactured ARM11 processor. That's because a lot of other Nokias also use Texas Instruments processors at the time based on the ARM11 architecture. So 434 megahertz single core ARM11 processor, probably manufactured by Texas Instruments. It also has 128 megs of RAM and 256 megs of internal storage. However, only 51 megabytes is available to the user. The OS takes everything else, so kind of a low storage relatively for internal storage. However, you can actually upgrade this to 16 gigs at max with a micro SD expansion slot, and it's also hot swappable, so you can take the SD card out while the phone is on and swap it while on the go, or you can have multiple cards with you if you may and swap it on the go depending on which files are in which card. So hot swappable up to 16 gigs of storage, 51 megs of internal storage out of the 256 overall. The rest goes for the RAM and stuff like that. So pretty decent specs actually at this price range. Then again, it was more than enough to run the OS and run Symbian just fine, all the other apps that the OVI store had to offer as well. So pretty decent specs at a low price. In terms of operating system, this thing runs Symbian version 9.4 S60 edition with the 5th edition user interface, and I can show you exactly what this phone runs. So we can go to the dialer here or the number pad and type *# 0000 one more zero hash, and that should give you the version and the last update date of this phone. As you can see here, 2011 software update for that version in 2011. So that was the last update that this phone got. So in terms of operating system, this is your jolly good old Symbian interface. As you can see here, we have a simple home button here to go to your main menu. We have calendar, contacts, log, internet messaging, gallery, store music, share online settings, applications, and help as well. We have this button over here that I mentioned, this resistive button up here to bring down your menu there, your media button. So we have music, we have the gallery, we have share, we have video, and we have the browser there as well. And that can be open wherever you are, depending on the interface, depending on the location, it opens regardless. And that is something that a lot of XpressMusic phones also used to have. As you can see here, there's another one. It has a different look to it and it says XpressMusic there, but it essentially does the same thing. So that's also quite nice to see. We have your notifications and stuff up here. You can press that to bring up your notifications and your messages and all that stuff. And here's your good old interface. We can go into applications there, and we have camera installed applications. We have games over there. This thing came preloaded with Guitar Hero 5, as you can see there. So we'll play that in the game section of this video. We have a bunch of other stuff as well: email, Amazon, access setup, switch, blah 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 blah. We can go into settings and look at some customization options. This thing has some decent themes and stuff that you can also expand upon using the OVI store. So we have menu themes, home screen themes, and stuff like that. We can have your basic you can select to have contacts bar or shortcuts bar on your main home screen. I put shortcuts bar there. Then we have the main menu as well. You can choose between grid and list and all that stuff. General, we can switch themes. So let me switch to the light theme here. We were running the standard blue theme to match the color of the phone. It comes with a color matching theme as well. Let us go to the dark theme here. We also have the standard Nokia white theme there as well. Let's leave it on the dark theme there, as you can see there. And you can also have a custom wallpaper. As you can see, I put a No Man's Sky wallpaper there. This is your main menu with your selection options over there. You cannot have multiple home screens on this phone, but this is somewhat more than enough for this price range. Again, this is a budget phone. So yeah, that was just a quick go around of your good old Symbian operating system. You're pretty used to this. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, you're definitely used to this. Almost everyone on earth has seen this operating system, and a lot of people have made use of this at some point. This is one of the most recognizable operating systems and layouts in mobile phone history. I'm pretty sure this brings back a lot of nostalgia. Alright, so game demo time, and we have Guitar Hero Mobile version 5. This is the mobile version of Guitar Hero 5. Let's load it up. This came preloaded with this phone, and I think it's the only game on this phone. Let us actually borrow the stylus from this 5530 XpressMusic over here, so it's much easier to use. So let's do that, and you have to play this game with a stylus. So I'm pretty sure if you had this phone and if you played this game on there's glue, and then it should be Activision. There we go, it's Activision. So if you play this game on a different phone as well, you probably already are familiar with how this game works. Guitar Hero 5, so let's do practice. I haven't played this game in ages. Easy. Let's see, loading set list. I think these are some songs. This is Kryptonite by Three Doors Down. Let's see if it is. Let's see. I think it's Kryptonite by Three Doors Down. It's one of my favorite songs. Let's see. All right, so let's go ahead, and I can't play the whole thing because there's music. So let's keep it to 15 seconds. So as you saw, that was the way this game is played, Guitar Hero Mobile version 5. Sorry, I had to cut the music out after 15 seconds. That's because that is a copyrighted song. And yeah, that is Kryptonite by Three Doors Down. So yeah, that was a quick game demo. Now in terms of camera, this thing doesn't have too much of an impressive camera. For a fixed focus 2 megapixel camera from a budget phone, it is pretty decent from what I can tell. It isn't gonna impress everyone, but it's pretty simple, it's pretty basic. It's fixed focus, it's 2 megapixel, there's no flash, and it can record video at 480p at 30 fps, so decent video recording capability as well. It has a camera shutter button, as you can see here, but it's only single press, so it's not autofocus. It's a fixed focus, so it's just a simple single press. And you can also press it to access the camera. Regardless of the camera being quite basic, it still shares the same camera interface as a lot of other higher-end Nokia devices, albeit with a little bit less of options there to select from. You do have your basics, so you have your video mode, ISO, self-timers, color tone, white balance, sharpness, sequence, blah 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 blah. So you do have your basic stuff, but it does have a bit of toned down settings. Of course, it's a simple camera as well, and that is your basic camera interface. You have settings over here. You're under options, you have all your settings. You have video mode, and it also has all its settings as well. You can choose which quality you want to go with within settings for a MMS message or a full-blown 2 megapixel image as well, depending on which quality you want, whether you want to send it, Bluetooth it, or whatever. So yeah, that was a pretty straightforward camera interface there. And now let's go on to the camera samples and the video samples shot during the day, and you'll see that they're pretty decent. They're not mind-blowing for a fixed focus 2 megapixel camera, but they're not bad. They're actually usable for a budget phone like this. So they definitely cut down on the camera section here to give more precedence to the OS. However, the camera is still more than usable. So thumbs up to them for not completely cutting out on the camera, but then again, it's Nokia. They always do cameras right. So yeah, let's load the photos in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so as you saw there, the camera isn't the greatest, but it's not that bad either. There are some photos that were actually quite nice. So it's overall a decent camera, but it's not a Carl Zeiss lens, amazing Nokia camera as compared with other Nokia phones at the time. But regardless, it's still a more than usable camera. So now let us go into the ringtones and do a speaker demo here. And the speaker, despite being a single mono speaker, is somewhat quite loud. Now, as you can see, there are two grills there. They've just split it into two to give it a somewhat of a stereo effect, but it is still a single mono speaker there. So let's go into personal over there, profiles, and let's do general, personalize. These are quite loud. Let me actually blow them up to maximum here. Come on. Okay, so we are at max volume there, and let us play some tones. So ringtone. Now if you want to hear all the ringtones on this phone, by the way, I'll be doing a separate nostalgic ringtones playlist video, so definitely stay tuned for that, and we'll be covering all the ringtones on this phone in that separate video. But in this video, in the interest of time, we'll be only covering some. So let us go here. There's a bunch of other stuff there as well, put in by the previous owner. We don't want to play those. Let us start off with the Nokia tune. Where is that? It should be somewhere here. Where's the Nokia tune? Okay, I think we passed it. There we go. Let's start. So as you can hear, they're very loud. They're a bit crackly, so not perfect speakers. Of course, they have to cut down from somewhere. If you're giving Symbian and all the other features on this phone for such a cheap price, they had to cut down from somewhere. So they're a bit crackly at max volume, but if you keep them at a medium volume, they're just perfectly fine. But they're extremely loud. So if you just like loud music in general and don't really care about a bit of crackliness and a bit of unclearness, you're perfectly set there. So they're extremely loud for a set of mono speakers. Actually, it's probably one of the loudest mono speakers that I've ever heard. So really nice speakers, but a bit crackly and a bit tinny sort of. But then again, they had to cut down from someplace. So definitely also stay tuned for the full retro nostalgic ringtones playlist video, which I'll upload in a few weeks. So in terms of extra features, this thing actually has quite a lot. So to start things off, it doesn't have Wi-Fi though, so that's something to point out, of course. Again, they had to cut out from somewhere else. Wi-Fi receivers and transmitters are somewhat expensive, so they had to cut out the Wi-Fi, so no Wi-Fi on this thing. This, of course, has Bluetooth with A2DP. It doesn't have GPS, of course, another cut down to suit the price, so no GPS, no Wi-Fi. It does have radio, however, so stereo FM radio, so that's also a good thing. It has Adobe Flash and then voice memos, an organizer. In some countries, it had OVI music. In certain countries, I don't know which countries exact, I couldn't find online, but in some countries, it had OVI music. It was called OVI Music Unlimited, so that's also a feature. And like I said, it also came in a bunch of colors like dark gray, blue, red, purple, and white. And that's about it. I mean, everything else was software based because it was running Symbian. So that was its main selling point, that was giving Symbian basically at this low price. This phone was giving you the Symbian experience at just €115 price range. So everything else is just software based. And you can, of course, count this button over here as an extra feature, this quick menu button for your media, so that's also quite nice. And it has a few other minor features here and there. And of course, the battery life on this thing is also considered as an extra feature because it's a really good battery. So let's jump to talking about battery and power now. Okay, so we are here in the battery bay here, and let me bring it closer. And as you can see, it says made in China, so it's not made in Europe, in either Hungary or Finland or anything like that. It's a budget phone, so it was made in China for cheaper labor. And like I said earlier, the battery cover opens like this in a weird manner. You can just flip it open like that because the finger hole is on this side. So that is that. It uses the BL4U, which is quite an uncommon battery because it's quite larger than the standard BL4J in terms of length. If you see, well, not quite larger, somewhat larger. As you can see, it's a bit taller. However, it's only 1000 milliamp hours versus the BL4J here, which is 1200 milliamp hours, and that's because the BL4J is thicker, as you can see there. So they gave it a flatter but longer and less capacity than the BL4J. As you can see, the BL4U fits perfectly in there, but the BL4J, there's a gap there and you can't really close the cover that easily. So with the BL4U, this phone is actually a really good performer. It'll get about 450 hours of standby on 3G and a talk time of about 8 hours on 3G, and music play time is about 25 to 27 hours according to some reviews. Officially it's 24 hours, but people have said you can get up to about 25 to 27 hours on this thing. So actually really good battery performance there. This was somewhat of a media focused phone, so you should have expected a decently good battery performance there. So let's go ahead and power this thing on. So yeah, as a whole, this is quite an interesting phone. For its price range, it gave you Symbian and all the features that came with Symbian and a little bit more as well. Of course, they cut down on the camera, the speakers, and a few other details. However, it's still a really good phone, hence why it was so popular and hence why it sold so well in Europe and China. It is a really, really interesting phone, and it's not that common either. You don't find a lot of these for sale, regardless of how well they sold. So I don't know what happened to most of them. They're probably just not appearing on eBay, that's all. But I hope to get my hands on one with its stylus and in the other colors as well. But as far as today goes, this was the using the Nokia 5250 in 2022/retro style review. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you honestly did, don't forget to smash that like button down below and ring that bell notification button so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below or a question and I can answer your question or we can start a discussion. My social media is linked down in the description below, which includes Instagram, Discord, and Twitter. Thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video.